Hello, everybody. I'm going to get Caitlin Townsend today. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I have a little bit of a head cold today, so don't mind me if I sneeze or anything like that, but I'm here.
No problem. I'm a bit of a mess over here. I broke my foot this weekend.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
This is my first time sitting in my office chair. I've been on the couch. And
Yeah.
so I have like it all propped up underneath me, but oh my gosh, so we're both a mess today, which is totally
Yes.
fine. So,
Oh,
well, thank you so much for taking the time, though. I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
it's okay.
So, and I also wanted to apologize for saying that we were going to be talking about serum hormones, and we're actually going to be talking about salivary hormones. So, did you learn about salivary hormones through RWS?
Absolutely, yeah. And I was going to touch a little bit on serum hormones and,
Great.
why I prefer this test over the other one. So,
I
yes.
would love that. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
good.
So let's start by why don't you just introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about your practice, the people that you work with, and how you work with them.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on. So,
Yeah.
as you said, my name is Caitlin, and I am from Nourish by Caitlin, and I work mainly with women, helping them with, balancing their hormones. Fertility is a really big one. That's a big passion of mine. But I love using this functional lab testing to really get more to the root cause. And I am a restorative wellness practitioner, and so this is I did go to the Nutritional Therapy Association as well, just like you. And so this is like furthering my education and love the lab test.
Yeah, yeah, and you're also an instant HTMA professional.
Yes, absolutely. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
always continuing education.
yeah, so you know literally all the labs. You
I'm
do all of them.
excited. Yeah, they can be so helpful and so useful in certain circumstances.
So, what do you use most frequently in your practice? How does it work for you?
So I always do start with the gut testing, so I
Okay.
always run the GI map stool test, the MRT food sensitivity, and then I do a comprehensive blood chemistry panel as well. So those are my three big ones. And as starting with the gut and with gut health, even if you're coming to me for fertility or for hormonal issues, starting with those foundations is really, really critical.
Awesome. What do you find? Are there any like common things that you see in gut tests with the people that you're working with, especially let's say fertility? Are there any specific things that tend to come up?
Oh my gosh, the inflammation is just like the biggest thing, So maybe people come to me and they're struggling to conceive, and yet they don't think that they have any gut issues, but they have, the constant bloating or the gas or the loose stools or different things like that. And they just think, oh, well, I've always had this. This is my norm. And even though
Right.
it's common, it's not normal, right? So
Yeah.
we go over all of those foundations to
Yeah.
really help balance things.
Now, remind me, when did you graduate from the NTA and then when did you
Um,
get into RWS?
yeah, let's see. I graduated in 2018 from NTA, and then I think I went into RWS probably like 2019 or so.
Okay. So
Yeah.
were you practicing between graduating and starting RWS, or were you just trying to like figure out what you wanted to do?
A little bit. I've always been an entrepreneur, so
Yeah.
I am a trained chef. That is, like the first thing that I did. And so I had a little gourmet market that I ran with my mom. And
Oh,
yeah, and then,
yeah.
coming upon my own struggles really led me go, back to school to figure out some answers that none of the doctors were giving me. So
Yeah. So you got to become your own practitioner.
absolutely. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, and you did all the way through restorative wellness level 4?
So level 3, I'm
Level
at,
3.
I finished, the level 3, and then I need to take a break
Yeah, I
from
hear
all the
you.
studying. And then level 4 sounds really intriguing and really interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure I'll jump back into that and finish off things eventually.
for sure. I feel like that's what a lot of people have said. When I talked with Amber McDonald, I think that was last week. She's kind of doing the same thing, pausing right now. She did up through level 3, and then she's excited for level 4, but just not quite yet. Because
Yes.
I know it's a big time commitment for sure.
It is, and it's a lot of information. So you have to really be like, okay, I have the time to focus and to study and to dig deep and do all the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So the hormone testing that we're talking about today, did you learn that in level 2 of RWS?
Yes, absolutely. And that was the thing I
Okay.
was most interested in. I was like, digestion, who cares about that stuff? And then they make you do digestion first, and you're like, oh my gosh, this just blew my mind, how important it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
For
very good
hormones
too.
too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, critical. Yeah, critical. So, yeah, so they made you do digestion first, and then you move on to the hormones. And it was I love that one as well. And we learned about Dutch, and a lot of people prefer Dutch. And then we also did the saliva panel, which is called their EFHP. So it's the Extended Female Hormone Panel.
Okay.
And that's the one that I run on my clients who need it.
Okay. So, I mean, tell me more about that because I am not familiar with that one specifically.
Yeah, so it is run through diagnostics, and I think you do have to be an RWS practitioner to get it. But this test is incredibly informative. So I wanted to touch a little bit on, we had talked about blood testing in the beginning and how most people, when they're, maybe they have PCOS or endometriosis or they're on their fertility journey. So most people will go and their doctor will say, well, go get a day 3 blood test or go get a day 21 blood test, for your progesterone and your estrogen. And that is just not all of the picture, right? So it's only one little piece of the puzzle. Blood testing, serum testing is testing the bound form of your hormones. So this isn't really that accurate because it's not the free usable form that we really want to gauge. So, is it a good gauge? Maybe for that one particular day, but our hormones as women, we fluctuate throughout our entire cycle, so we really want to see this beautiful dance of all of these hormones with the estrogen rising and the progesterone rising at the appropriate times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why just taking that 1 day test, which you could be off because maybe you didn't really calculate your ovulation correctly, or maybe you didn't know if you ovulated. So then the test is pointless, right? So the serum tests are the most common and the most well recognized in the conventional standards, but I would not say that they're the most accurate and they're going to give you the fullest picture. Unlike the saliva or the Dutch cycle mapping test, which I think you talked about.
Yeah, I've talked with a few people about it, and honestly, I've always wanted to get one done on myself, but I just haven't yet. I mean, I know what's going on with me from HTMA and blood work. I think Dutch would give me more information, but at this point, I don't think I need it.
Yeah.
But it is so interesting to me. I will probably end up getting all of these tests done just in time.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, the Dutch is urine, and this is a saliva test. Is this the one that you do every day of your cycle?
So it's not every day, but it is 11 vials of saliva. And the difference between the Dutch, which being the urine, and the saliva is that saliva actually measures the free form of progesterone, which urine only measures the progesterone metabolites. So this is the only saliva test, the only test that is measuring really what is going on with progesterone. And this is a critical piece to your hormone puzzle for sure.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to ask you a personal question. So So my personal progesterone that was just run from blood serum is low. So we would be looking at it. What else could I find out about my progesterone from these other tests, I guess? Would it also probably show as low?
Yeah, definitely. So for this test that I do, the EFHP, it's going to show you in conjunction with everything else. So not only does it do your progesterone, your estrogen, but it also measures your FSH and your LH, as well as your DHEA and your free testosterone. So it's measuring every single thing. And it would be showing you, so if you tested your day 21 for your progesterone and it's showing as low. So this is going to show you that dance that I was talking about with your hormone fluctuation and pinpoint exactly what's going on with your progesterone. So is it not having a nice bell curve to it and dropping down gently? Is it like a sharp drop down that is not long enough for your luteal phase? It talks about so much information. Did your corpus luteum not form correctly? It goes over great detail for everything. Yeah.
So with that information, are you able to recommend certain supplements, or is it more dietary lifestyle? What do you do with the information after that?
Yeah, it is. Everybody thinks, I'll just take a supplement and that'll fix everything. So it is a combination of diet and lifestyle and stress and, the supplement piece as well. But the interesting thing also about this test is that it can discover if you have an HPO axis dysregulation. So, the hypothalamus talking to the pituitary, talking to your ovaries. Is there some kind of disconnect going on between, your ovaries and your hormone and your brain activity? So it's really like, it pinpoints exactly like, oh, here is where the problem lies. And now we can really target this with correct supplementation, or as well as, of course, lifestyle and diet.
Yeah. So there are certain things that come up where it's like, look, that is stress. Like that's stress related.
Yeah.
And like, that's what we really have to focus on. But is some of it like, that's a specific like vitamin deficiency, or that's more, are there specifics like that come up?
I wouldn't say it would be so specific, like it's not going to say, oh, you have a B12 deficiency. So it wouldn't be that in that regard, but it would say something like your brain is shouting at your ovaries, but your ovaries are kind of asleep, so they're not paying attention. And so that's causing this FSH to be so high. So it's really interesting in that regard from the brain to the glands, the endocrine gland connection. And then, of course, awesome. This is not like a standalone test. So ideally, like with clients, you've already done like all the gut work, and you've done the blood chemistry panel, you've done the HTMA. So you've done all of this stuff while you're working on getting the results for this specific test, because the only downside with, I would say, both Dutch cycle mapping and saliva is it takes a while. It takes an entire cycle, right? Yes. So meanwhile, you're working on all of the foundational support, like your gut and minerals and different things like that, while you're waiting for this test result to get back.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if anybody's looking for fast results with functional medicine, it's just not going to happen, because there isn't a pill to solve these problems the way that conventional medicine is approaching symptoms. And so it does take time. I think that's one of the toughest things. Do you find that, especially with working with people on their fertility journey?
Everybody's like, just fix me now. But the thing I always tell them is, don't you want to get to the root cause and figure it out? Let's not just have a Band-Aid effect on this. Let's just not wash over this and take all of these drugs to stimulate ovulation. It's like, get to the root cause.
Why are you not ovulating?
Why are you not ovulating? Yes, it's always the root cause. And because we want to heal our bodies, and we want our bodies to be the most optimal so that we can create that new life, and we can be energized and, you
Right.
know, healthy enough to take care of a new baby or, you know, your
Sure.
family or whatever the circumstances are.
Yeah. It's so important. So important.
Yes.
So, how do you, can you tell me a little bit more about your practice, how you structure your services, that kind of thing? I know a lot of people have been really interested in that aspect of talking with practitioners that are using labs specifically.
Yeah, yeah. So I always do, you know, the long intake form when people first come in, the health history, really just kind of, you know, working on putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And then, you know, of course, we do the GI map, the stool test, and we do the MRT, and the blood panel, you know, so those are all up front.
Do you
People
charge like one main price for that
Yeah, I
initial
know.
consult?
I feel like it's kind of evolved, you know, in different
Yeah,
ways.
it
So
always
I
has.
actually tell people instead of being like, it's $5,000, you know, when people freak out, I say, all right, this is my monthly retainer fee, and then you pay the labs directly. So I have them pay the
Okay.
labs directly. That way I don't have to do all of this banking and money in,
Sure.
money out, that kind of stuff. So yes, it seems to work
Okay.
well.
Nice. That's really
Yes.
interesting. Do you do that with HTMA as well? Do they pay the lab
Yes.
directly for that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just so I don't have to deal with like, oh gosh, I just got $100 and oh no, I have to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you like didn't want to sign up to be an accountant. You wanted to help them with their nutrition.
absolutely. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, pay the labs directly for everything.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So you have a monthly retainer and
Yeah.
then they sign up for, does that give them a certain number of meetings with you or like
Yes.
access to you
So
via email or something?
yeah, so it is a 6 month program. So I say, you know, healing takes time. It takes time to get all of this lab
Good
work
for you.
back. So, you know, we will work together for 6 months and then we will readdress at the 6 month mark to say, hey, do we need to do any retesting? Where are we? Because, you know, it takes a while, especially when you're working with hormones, to get things to really come into balance again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so
That's
we do.
great.
Yes, yes. So we do that for
That's
six
really great.
months. Yes. Yeah, it seems to work out.
I really like that. So, you know, I teach starting with an HTMA, like for people that are just getting started, starting with an HTMA and like a single consult is like just very simple. But that does leave out the piece of the puzzle of this is going to take time.
Mhm.
And I think that doing it the way that you're doing it is really interesting and a really good like approach to making sure that people know that this is not going to be a quick fix for them.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel like it's definitely trial and error because I have people have come to me saying, I just want to get my blood chemistry panel done. And I'll be like, okay. And then you do it. And then it's like, but there's so much more work we need to do. You know, I
yeah,
can't just leave you here, you know, with this knowledge. I don't know what you're going to do with this.
right.
So you really have to like be their coach, their cheerleader, their guide, you know. So yeah, so I meet with them. That's why I'm like, no, we have to meet for this long of time.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you some questions about the MRT, just because I haven't gotten to
Yeah.
really talk with anybody about MRT?
Uh-huh.
Because I know there's a lot of controversy on like food sensitivity testing, the
Mhm.
IgG type testing, and that the MRT is better than IgG testing.
Yes.
With the MRT, what do you recommend doing with the results that come back? Because it pinpoints different foods, right?
It does. So it's 170 different foods and chemicals. And I always do it in conjunction with the GI map stool test. A lot of people I see out there are only doing the one test, you know, either the GI map or the MRT. And to me, that's not the whole picture, you know, and so
Mm,
you really need to do both of them. So when you do the MRT test, that person is able to remove all those inflammatory foods, all of those inflammatory chemicals for 3 months for the things that are in yellow, or 6 months if anything comes up in red. And then they do that in conjunction with the GI map because it's just saying, hey, here's what's causing the inflammation. The GI map is saying this is like all of the imbalance that's going on and we need to fix this as well.
Okay. Okay.
So really
So,
important, I think, to do both.
okay, that's interesting. So the foods that are showing up as yellow or red, are they typically, so I'm familiar with IgG tests where it's a lot of things that people tend to eat a lot of. They're like, oh, I eat almond butter every single day, and then it shows
Yeah.
up. Is that kind of the same with the MRT?
It can be. So I warn them ahead of time. I'm like, oh, you drink coffee every day, or
Yeah.
oh, like you love avocados, and avocados are great. It's a great food. It's very healthy. But when you eat anything every single day, your body really wants diversity.
Mm,
So yeah, I feel like a lot of people that happens to, they get stuck in this like, oh, I eat eggs every single day. And I'm like, eggs
mm-hmm.
are great, but let's
Yeah.
let's change it up a little bit. Let's have some
Yeah.
diversity. Yeah.
Okay. And then by the end of that, like 3 or 6 months of them removing everything that was causing sensitivities, are they able to add them back in?
Yeah, so then we go over the slow reintroduction phase of, after 3 months, then you pick whatever, ideally not wheat, but you pick, whatever you want to add back in. So like carrots or,
Mm-hmm.
apples or eggs or whatever it is. And you do that very slowly. So you just reintroduce one food
Got
at a
it.
time over a couple of days, see if there's any adverse reactions. And it's really, you have such good results with it because all that time you've been healing your gut with the GI map, working on different, improving your stomach acid, improving the stomach lining, so many things.
Right.
That's why it's just so critical to do both of these things at the same time.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then on the GI map, you are able to see obviously if there are any like pathogens too. So
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
address those too.
Very
Okay.
common. Parasites,
Yeah.
candida, H. pylori, all of those things are incredibly common. Yes.
Yeah. And then and so then you will do like antimicrobials, or do you have like specific protocols that you follow for the different pathogens that come up too?
Yeah, there are eradication protocols that go according to, what's showing up. And also it's symptomatic as well. So
Mm.
is this person having diarrhea every single day? Is this person having brain fog? What's going on? What symptoms are they showing? Or do they have nothing? It's like, are they fine? So it's kind of like always looking for those little clues and bringing it back to that bio individuality
Mm.
with that client.
Yeah, interesting. That's really
Yeah.
interesting. You are using so many different things in your practice. I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
if people are maybe on their fertility journey and interested in working with you, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it would be Nourish by Caitlin. And then I
Okay.
have the website is the same.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you work with people all over the country?
I do. I work with everybody virtually. It's so nice to meet,
Yeah.
meet people from all over. So yes.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this was really, really interesting. And I love hearing about the salivary test versus the urine test and just how you're structuring your practice with all these labs. It's just fantastic. I love
Good.
that you're
Thank you.
offering this to all of the people that you're working with. So,
Oh, yes. Thank you.
yeah. I feel like I got a question. And let me actually pull it up really quick because I don't think that I answered it. And I forgot to pull it up beforehand. So let me look here really quick. Did you get any questions on your end?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if this would work with me. I'm like doing it on my computer behind my phone. I have not figured all of this out yet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Me and technology, I know.
Yeah. And I really wish on Instagram that there was a way to like flag something as important or like mark something as unread or
Yes.
like because if I look at it, I forget things a lot of times.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't find this other question. Hold on. Sorry.
Excuse me.
I'll just respond to her directly when I find it. So I don't want to leave anybody hanging. It doesn't look like it's coming up. So anyway, sorry about that. So,
no worries.
Well, then I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you start to feel better.
Thank you.
Make
yes.
sure you rest.
I am going to rest. Yeah, absolutely.
Take care of yourself.
Thank
I'll
you.
talk to you soon.
All righty. Bye.
All right. Bye.